Welcome to the Dino and Joe Show. My name is Dino. That man across the way from me is Joe. And by way, I mean 2 states and a bunch of cities.
Yes.
How is the greater Chicagoland area?
The greater Chicagoland area is very pleasant. How is the greater your area?
Why is it you don't know where I live?
I mean, I know where you
Why
live
is it you can't actually remember
because
where I
okay,
live?
can I be perfectly
You
honest with
act
you?
like I live in the entire state of Ohio, by the
No,
way.
but
Everybody's
here's
like,
the
"Oh,
thing.
you're in Ohio." Oh,
There
that's
are
a big place.
there's 3 cities, and
Yeah.
I know this. Do I? Maybe I don't know this. I know there's 3 big ones: Cincinnati, Dayton, and Columbus. Right? Those
No.
are the big 3, and I know you live near one of them.
No. So
What do you
you
mean
went
no?
you went top to bottom and you went the wrong order of cities. Is Cleveland,
It is Cleveland,
Columbus,
Columbus,
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. You live closest
I
to
live in Dayton,
Dayton, right? Oh, see, I did know
which is
that.
between Columbus and Cincinnati.
Okay, see, I was right. I gotta just trust my gut. That's all there is to it. It's no offense.
You don't know the geography
Chicago
of the state I live in.
versus those. I mean, I
Oh
know.
yes, because everything in Chicago is where
But
everything happens.
okay, if there were ever,
I mean,
there's always 3 big cities that are always mentioned: New York, Chicago, L.A. Always.
those are the big 3 markets in the United States. Yes,
Just saying.
there's also other
Dayton's
big
one of them.
cities. Yeah, I just don't happen to live in Chicagoland
Correct.
area
You
or a
could.
gigantic city, but I live in a big enough city.
You could live in Chicago and we could
Oh.
literally be doing this in person, like at a round table or
Yeah,
something.
there's this whole thing called an income and a job, and all that kind of predicates where you live. I mean, there's all that weighs
You're going to be
in.
logical about it. I can't argue with you, but
all this logic, all this knowledge.
so we on the last show, I wished you a happy. May the 4th be with you.
Yes.
Right? And May the 4th has passed. We're a little bit behind, but that's okay. And it made me want to discuss, a favorite subject of mine, which is Star Wars.
I love Star
I
Wars.
I love Star Wars. I was probably 5 or 6 for the first time my parents showed it to me, and I fell in love with it, right? And the first question I have, and this is something that I ask everybody that I know enjoys Star Wars,
Yes.
and I want to see if their answer changes at all, or has ever changed throughout their life. So, of the original 3 movies, right?
Yes.
A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi.
Mhm.
Which is your favorite, and has that ever changed from your youth into your mature adultness?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'll tell you this. So in 1977, when the original Star Wars came out, I was 7 years old,
Okay.
and my parents took us to the theater to see Star Wars.
Sure.
And it was a big treat because we got to go to the theater. So where I grew up in Iowa, I grew up in a small town. Des Moines is the big city, right? That's the capital of Iowa, and that's the place where we would go to.
So frozen.
Yeah,
You
you
were
were frozen right there.
Okay.
So
So wait, say that again.
okay, so in Iowa, where I grew up in a small town called Boone, Iowa, which is about 45 minutes from Des Moines, which is the big city in the capital of Iowa. And there's a theater we used to go to, and it had a curved screen.
Ooh.
And that was like a special treat. If my parents took us to a curved screen movie, that was a big movie.
Yeah.
That was a movie that we wanted to see in that experience, right? My dad always used to say, it's like being there. I don't know. It wasn't really like being there, but that was his take on it, so that was cool.
Sure.
And Star Wars was it, right? And I remember the original Star Wars. I remember talking about the original Star Wars for the entire car ride back. And as a kid at 7 years old, that was like the be all end all, right? That was everything. My childhood revolved around Star Wars from there. I had action figures, I had the play sets. Like, I was big into Star Wars as a kid. And I will tell you, as a kid, the third movie, right? So, Return of the Jedi, that was with the Ewoks. Like, that was my favorite movie as a kid. The speeder bikes, right?
The whole thing.
The whole thing, right?
Mhm.
As an adult, I will tell you that I've gone back to the original Star Wars movie.
Okay.
That is by far, to me today, the best of all the Star Wars movies because it created Star Wars.
Okay.
And then the argument I always have with people who tell me that there are better movies is it's not about that. None of those movies exist if the first one bombs.
Correct.
And that first movie established the arc of the main 3 characters.
Mm.
It put everything on the map of Star Wars of what makes it great. whether it be R2D2 and C3PO, whether it be the Millennium Falcon, like all those characters take root in that movie and create an entire universe out of that movie. And that movie to me is like the movie. Like that's the one that I will watch a million times. I have actually seen that movie over 500 times.
Okay. That's a lot.
Well, I remember when it came on HBO. And again, like at that time, HBO was the only place to go get movies.
Right.
Star Wars being on HBO was a big deal. And I literally went through the HBO guide. Remember, you used to get the little HBO guide and you know, flip through.
Yeah.
And I would highlight every time it was on. And every time it was on before or after school, I watched it.
Yep.
And my parents, to their bless them, they don't watch the show, they don't care. But they literally let me watch it every time. So, like, to me, like, I've seen that movie well over 500 times. And it's awesome. Like, I can quote the movie along with the movie. I know what they're going to say.
So I was with you to a certain point, 100% when I was a kid. Return of the Jedi. Most people that I know said Return of the Jedi was their favorite when they were younger.
Yeah.
Because the Emperor, you finally got to see the Emperor.
Yep.
The Ewoks. You know, you got to steal the shuttle Tidarian, and you know, and they fly. So it's so cool. It's really cool. Yeah. But as I matured, I realized for me, Empire Strikes Back, 100%.
Oh, I know everybody says that.
And I used to, when people used to say that to me, I used to say, you're dumb. The Empire Strikes Back, please. They're on an ice planet, and then they go to the Cloud City. They meet Lando Calrissian, whatever. I never got it. But as an adult, that was.
Oh, I do love Lando.
What?
Hey, Billy D. Williams plays Billy D. Williams at all times. He's never had a different character. And Lando Calrissian is just Billy D. Williams.
Yes, and I love that. I love Billy D. Hey, Billy D. I love him. I love him so much. And but really, when you think about it, it is awesome. It sets up so much. You find out one of the biggest reveals probably in cinematic history.
Yeah, I mean, look, people who are really big movie people,
who
really understand how movies are made and storytelling and all these technical aspects, or talk about how that is the movie, right? That's the greatest Star Wars movie made. It's the bridge movie. It's the movie that you have to have in order to understand where, you know, and I get all that. Yeah. But when it comes to the actual storytelling and start of the movie and making the franchise, like,
I agree.
To me, I get it, but I don't get it because I'm like, it's just to me, it's the bridge movie that gets you from point A to point B.
Sure.
But I know people are like, oh, that's the greatest movie. Oh, you have to like love that movie. Can
I tell you something that has always bothered me?
Sure.
From the original Star Wars, A New Hope.
Okay.
They have, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it, they blow up the Death Star at the end. And they are...
I can't believe you gave that away. Like, I really can't believe, like, you ruined that movie experience for almost nobody.
Yeah, almost no one. And honestly,
that's crazy to me.
If you haven't seen it, you're probably not gonna. If you're old enough to probably watch this, you're probably not gonna see it.
If you're, a 6-year-old kid and this is the first time you've ever experienced Star Wars, then Joe has ruined it for you. Please make all of your letter complaints and all of your email complaints to Joe, not Dino. I did not ruin it for you.
All to me. So Han and Luke are walking down the aisle to receive their medals from Leia, who's at the end.
You know, Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father, right?
Now you can give that hate mail to him. I said it was the biggest reveal in movie history. I didn't say what it was. You just blurted out the biggest part.
Yeah.
Chewie is walking slightly behind Han, right?
Yep.
They're all up there. And of course, the reason they're getting this is because they blew up the Death Star. You know, the Millennium Falcon came in and shot at, Darth Vader's TIE fighter, and he went spinning off to space, which allowed Luke to use the Force, and boom.
Just in case you haven't seen the movie, Joe is now telling you exactly what happened.
But you have to understand why.
For all those people have no idea what happens in Star Wars.
Why are they getting these medals? So you should still watch it, though. So he does it, boom, the whole thing blows up, so they're getting this.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't know, Chewbacca is like Han Solo's like second in command, right? Like he is.
You really think people watching this don't understand the concept of Star Wars at this point?
I'm just saying, like, I want to emphasize this to show how hurtful this part was.
Like, if you don't know who Chewbacca is,
you'll understand in a minute. Just let me explain.
Okay.
They're getting their medals. Lower their head, medal on. Okay, lower the head, medal on.
Yes.
and then there's Chewbacca off to the side.
Yes.
Excuse me, helps the ship run, gets bupkis. Nothing. No medal. No thank you, Chew. What in the heck is going on here? That has bothered me.
He never became a general.
So neither did Luke. It was never.
Yeah. Oh yes, Luke was a general. He and Han Solo both became generals because of that action.
In that moment.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
So here's the thing: was that their like commissioning to general?
Yeah.
Okay, I am gonna call I'm gonna call bollocks on that one. Just absolute,
You're calling BS on that?
I'm calling full.
How do you think they became generals?
So here's the thing:
years of service and good merit. They blew the Death Star.
So just because you have success in one major incursion, that is a battlefield promotion to general.
The Rebel Alliance was really, really hurting at the time.
I understand.
Much as they are in the modern movies, where they really don't have a lot of choices. So I get
it. But okay, my point was that to me always broke my heart. We just watched it recently.
Chewbacca didn't get a medal?
Yes. I'm sorry. It's like he didn't exist. It always bothered me, and to this day it did. And then finally, yes. At the end of the last movie I forgot what the name of it was. What the
Star Wars fan are you?
The last Skywalker, whatever the last one was, the 9th one. He finally gets it. It's presented, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I almost cried in the theater. I was like, "I have been waiting since 1977." Not really.
That's the movie make good right there.
To have
how many people complain about him not getting a medal to the point where they finally gave him a medal just to make you feel good, because you grew up in a generation where everybody participates, gets a medal.
Well, here's the thing. It was like 40 years later, so it was well worth the wait. Two,
right?
He didn't just participate. Like,
he participated,
but he didn't just participate. Like, okay, let's see. Let me think here. Wedge Antilles. He participated.
Oh, do not beg on Wedge.
I'm not begging on. I love Wedge Antilles. Let's just be clear. But when he goes in there, he's like, "Oh, I got to pull away, Luke," and he's got to go. He's not going to do any good back there, as Luke says. He was a part of it, but he was literally just the person who participated. He participated.
So you don't think that Wedge did anything other than just fly around?
I didn't say that.
You don't think he like maybe shot down any of the TIE fighters or
nobody is saying that on this side of the conversation.
He just participated.
He had to pull away before anything major happened. Chewie was in the action. He was flipping levers, touching buttons, pressing.
Yes. Make him a general.
Well, you're sure? Yes. I don't know. So bringing it back to Star Wars, but in Disney, I was on the ride Rise of the Resistance, and spoiler, you get to fly in the Millennium Falcon. I had to press, but that was a hard job. I had to lift levers. I had to press. Dude, I had to try to grapple something. That's not easy.
Did they give you a medal at the end?
No.
We didn't get your medal either.
We died because our pilots couldn't talk to each other. Like, what kind of joke? I was so angry. I just waited for 35 minutes to complete a lifelong dream of flying on the Millennium Falcon, and all I wanted to do was just succeed at this one thing. And these two jokers up front couldn't figure out up and down and left and right to avoid all the. You know what? I'm not going to talk about it because I'm going to get real angry. But
did you play video chess at any point?
I am not kidding you. I sat down and I touched the chessboard and I was like, "Oh my God, this is real. I'm on the Millennium. This is happening." And Tiff was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Don't talk to me right now. I am in the moment.
Don't speak to me.
Don't talk. Just always let the Wookiee win." Oh my God, I said it in here. It's amazing. Like she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna let you have your little moments here because I don't want to take that away."
That's phenomenal. You died.
I did.
You blew up the Millennium Falcon.
I didn't.
Oh, that's right. You were too busy pressing buttons to get your participation medal.
I'm so sorry. I was the engineer. I was trying to actually shoot like a harpoon thing at them to bring them in. And like I had to press all these buttons to make sure that the engine stayed on. There was a lot of pressure on me. All they had to do was go up and down, left and right, and avoid things.
That's all they had to do. They
Not
were just
hard.
flying the thing. You were just pushing buttons. Oh, all right, we'll take a break and we'll come back with more Star Wars. It's the Dino and Joe Show. It's the Dino and Joe Show. My name is Dino. That is Joe.
Yes,
And we're talking all things Star Wars.
we
So
are.
May the 4th passed, and nobody ever said we were timely because we weren't recording on that day. But yeah, so you have Star Wars questions, I
I do.
understand?
Well, first of all, first thing, May the
Yeah.
4th has passed,
Yeah.
but this is the May.
This is the May.
Thank you, The Mandalorian. So that's a new thing that I heard, and I was like,
I haven't heard
absolutely.
that
Let's say
yet.
that.
So
It's
that's pretty good.
that's
Yeah.
fantastic, isn't it?
This is the May.
I did have some questions for you though.
Okay.
Now I don't know how familiar you are with this particular subject, but if you're not, that's okay. I have hours worth of of opinions that I can
Okay.
discuss. Do you have a favorite type of ship? Like, there's the X-wing, there's the Y-wing, A-wing, B-wing, all these different things. Is there like a ship, a TIE fighter even, a super
So
star destroyer?
I will tell you that my favorite ship is the Millennium Falcon because
Sure,
it owns its own character, right? Like
absolutely.
it is a vehicle that has become a character on the screen.
Mhm.
But for me, um, there's a B wing, right?
Yes, that's
Which I laugh at, because everything's A, B, D. But I would tell you, I like the A wings for some reason.
okay.
What they called them wedge fighters at one
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, those to me are my favorites.
So the one you just mocked happens
The
to be
B
my
wing,
favorite. I love it.
really?
So I remember
You're
watching it,
that
and
guy.
I am. And Admiral Akbar is on the bridge,
It's a
right?
trap. It's a
It's a
trap.
trap. And that was just just the design of it. Like it was super cool. Everybody was always about X-wing, and don't get me wrong, love X-wings. I think X-wings are a fantastic ship, but like,
I like the fact that now they have the X-wings of different colors.
yes,
It's not the
yes,
traditional white and
correct,
orange, right? The
correct.
black X-wing I think is freaking awesome. The Poe Dameron X-wing is
Mhm.
awesome. Like I like the fact that they're journeying beyond just these standards of like the first three movies carried into the next three movies, carried into the next three movies. They all look the
Right,
same. The only thing
right,
that changed was the Tie Fighters got cooler,
right. They got much cooler.
right? And then all of a sudden, the Super Star Destroyer looked a lot better than the old Star Destroyers.
Correct.
But yeah, for whatever reason, all the Rebel ships always stay the same. And I assume it's the whole idea of there's just not a ton of them. They don't make a ton of them, right?
Yeah,
They're always scrapping together whatever they got. But I like the
right.
fact they changed the colors and made it a little bit more cool.
I agree. Okay, so that's we have figured that out.
I
Two,
can't believe you like the B wing, though, really.
I love the B wing, followed by probably the Y wing.
Yeah, the Y wings are cool.
I think Y wing is awesome.
Yeah.
I also have a picture in front of the A wing, X wing, and Y wing at Disney, and it was another dream come true moment that I was able to stand that close to them, and a Tie Fighter too. It was amazing. Anyway,
Yeah.
I digress. What are your feelings on the newest installment? So 7, 8, 9,
Yeah.
The Force Awakens, all those. What are your feelings on those?
I mean, so I liked them,
Yeah,
right? But I think all the modern Star Wars movies have been great.
yeah,
From Rogue
I
One,
mhm,
which I think was hit or miss for people because that's really kind of a deeper story for Star Wars fans than it is for
correct.
the casual fan. You
Yes,
have to understand what Rogue
a
One
lot of stuff.
was and why. The Han Solo movie was actually much better than people give it credit for. I don't know why people didn't like that because it set up, I think, a lot of really cool stuff about Han Solo, which I think they got the right actors to play those parts. But I thought people were really harsh on that. But when it comes to like the last three that they've done, the modern three, right? One thing I think is amazing is Star Wars always does a trilogy for that generation.
Yes,
So it works for that generation, right? No, and that is their Star Wars. And I love how they don't like to hear about how my Star Wars was the best Star Wars because we had the best characters, right?
right.
It has to graduate, and I think that it's graduated well. I think it closes off the Skywalker story, which they had to do.
Hmm.
You have to put an end to Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia. Like those characters can't live on forever.
Right,
They're just old people at this point, right? Let's face it.
right,
Like they're not getting younger.
right.
And as much as we love and endear those characters, they're not the same characters from 1977 or 79
Right.
or '84 or whatever. So I think it did a great job at ending that series, so they can now tell new stories.
I agree.
And I think they have to do that. But I think Ray is a great character. I hope they don't just completely dispose of that character, because that character now becomes the Luke Skywalker.
Right.
I think that I'm anxious to know who the new bad guy is going to be. Like, what does that look like? I think there's so many ways they can go now that they're free to go, because it's not, hey, what happened to these characters? Now we know.
Right.
And then so where do they go with the characters they have? Poe Dameron now runs the entire Rebel Alliance?
Right.
How does that work? Right?
Right.
He's not Princess Leia. He's not royalty and didn't come from a Senate background, right? So now he has to put the whole thing together as just a fighter who, graduated to that role. So I think the character stories could be really, really good. I want to see what they do with the characters they've introduced that they barely touched on. Like, I think that world grows now versus where they were kind of like aligned to, we have to tell this story. This is the story we're on, and now we can branch out and do more.
Right. Okay. Because I know some people despised the middle one, the Last Jedi, because it was a different director. And it's like, here's the thing. I think they were all great. Like, were they all perfect? No. Were any of them perfect? Well, some of them were, but some of them were absolutely phenomenal. But the original three, of course. But I enjoyed it. I thought it told a fun story. It gave us a lot of information. Okay, so you didn't like a certain. It's just all these people who complain. They're like, oh, you destroyed the franchise, and I'm like, no. They did not. They did not. I'm sorry they made a movie you didn't like.
Right.
I thought it was fine. I thought it was enjoyable.
We have a mutual friend that rewrote one of the stories. He's into movie making, and he's got that background and has done it, right? And he got so mad, he rewrote it to the way he wanted it. And my argument is, but that's the way you wanted it.
Right.
That's not the way they're going to tell the story, because, if you believe that they don't know what the next set of stories is going to be, you're crazy.
Right.
Like, if Marvel has taught us anything in the world of movie making, you plan that stuff out a very long time.
Without question.
And that's exactly where they're at, right? So, yeah, again, they didn't tell the story you wanted. Okay, got it. But at the same point, at the end of the day, they're going to tell the story the way they want the story to continue. It's just maybe not the way you want it to continue. But that's what happens when we develop characters that we love and we want to see them be the way that we want them to be. But yeah, I don't. They didn't destroy the franchise. They just reinvented it to carry it on.
I agree. Okay, good. And then another question: who's your favorite Jedi?
Oh man, my favorite Jedi. That's a great question. I think Obi-Wan became a better Jedi with all the stuff they've done around more of his story when he was younger. So whether it be Clone Wars or some of these other things, right? But from the movies themselves, I would say Mace Windu.
Okay. So I have mine is a 3 scale list, 1, 2, 3. Top for me, 100% was Qui-Gon Jinn. I loved Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah.
So everybody said they hated the first one. What can I think? Phantom Menace, right?
Yep.
They hated that because of Jar Jar Binks. Okay, fine. He can be an annoying character, whatever. But for me, Qui-Gon Jinn was the reason I loved that movie so much. And when again, spoiler alert, everyone, when Darth Maul finally got to him, I damn near walked out of the movie theater out of anger that he was because he was taken too soon. But I loved Qui-Gon Jinn. He was awesome. If I was ever a Jedi, he's the kind of Jedi I want to be. Next would be Mace Windu, without question. Like Sam Jackson, just like
how much Jedi power do you have when you say, "Hey, I want a purple lightsaber," and the creator of Star Wars goes back and rewrites the entire thing so that you can have a purple lightsaber? That's hysterical to me.
That's killer. Like, yes, 100% yes. And then it's funny that you should say the color lightsaber. Number 3 is Plo Koon.
Yeah.
Plo Koon only because of the yellow lightsaber.
The yellow lightsaber.
I love a yellow lightsaber. He later switched to blue. So I mean, whatever. But the yellow lightsaber is the only reason I like Plo Koon. That's it. That is it. Those are my top 3 as far as Jedi.
Yeah, I would. I mean, Plo Koon is hysterical because like that's a character you have to be kind of into the story to even understand.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, that's pretty
100%.
good. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. What else? What else do you got?
So I'm going to test waters of any fans who are a fan of Star Wars by doing this. And I'm not going to say a direct versus, but I have a question.
Okay.
What are your feelings of Star Wars versus Star Trek? I know I've instantly divided all 31 of our subscribers by watching or by saying this. Oh, are you frozen?
No, I'm not frozen.
Oh, you were just very still.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
All right.
But so Star Wars, Star Trek. Is one for you more your speed, your something that you would prefer? Like if there was a Star Trek movie on and a Star Wars movie on, which one would you go to?
I would watch a Star Wars movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I love both of them. I do. But I think I'm a little more Star Trek solely because there was a TV show. There were movies. There were a lot of things that kept me into that particular series
Right.
more, right? And The Next Generation, to me, probably the best Star Trek out there. Better than the original series, better than Deep Space Nine, Voyager, all of those.
Okay.
Like that's number one for me. And then when the movies shifted from the William Shatner crew, the original series crew, to the Enterprise D with Jean-Luc Picard and everybody, that's
Right.
when I got like extra into it because I'm like, these are my people. I know them. Like, let's see what craziness Worf and Data and Riker are going to get into.
Right. Yeah, I didn't get into that.
You didn't
So,
get into that as much.
first of all, I just want to say for all of the Star Wars fans who now are really, really upset, his name is Joe, and that is the person that
Yeah.
is trying to, in some way, I don't know why, tear down your love of your favorite movie to tell you there's some other space odyssey out there that's just as good, if not better. And after he's just lived this fantastic life of being on the Millennium Falcon, and you just heard about all the pictures he's got with all these vehicles and how much he loves
Yes,
Star Wars,
I
and
do.
suddenly he has changed to a Trekkie. And that is not me.
So
Um, so
you,
here's what I'll tell you:
oh,
the original Star Trek,
yes.
right? That was to me the classic, and that was the Star Trek that I knew: Captain Kirk and Spock and Bones, and
Sure.
I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer.
Right.
It's a great line from the monster that's made out of rock that he's
Rock.
trying to heal, and he turns and says, "Jim, I'm a doctor, not a
Not a
bricklayer."
bricklayer.
Um,
DeForest Kelly.
but I only remember like some episodes. I was never into Star Trek.
Sure.
It just never resonated with me in that way. So the older show was from before me, right? And so
Right.
I saw it because it was available, right?
Right.
I didn't get into I did not get into Battlestar Galactica after the
Never gotten
original
that one either.
series. I didn't get into Star Trek movies. I didn't get into anything beyond the original 60s TV show.
Okay.
When it comes to Star Trek, it never resonated because
Sure.
for me it was Star Wars.
Right.
So Star Wars fans, I have your back, and that is my favorite.
So can I just say something?
Yes.
Both shows are all about fairness and equality, and why can't we just all get along? One of we're one is in the 24th century, one
Uh-huh.
is undetermined time. Really, I
In
think
a
it
galaxy
was
far, far away.
right. So
If you were a real
obviously,
Star Wars fan, you would know that.
well, oh my God, I understand the galaxy in which everything takes place does
Yeah.
not necessarily indicate the year it does.
But we don't need a time. It's a galaxy far, far away. It's happening so far away from us, we don't need to worry about it because, and whatever time it is, it is. We didn't have to like date that because, it is what it is.
Well, I'm
You had to
surprised.
date your little fantasy of Star Trek and
Fantasy.
your little,
Why are you turning this into
photons
again?
and your flip phone communicator. Tick, tick, tick. Beam me up, Scotty.
They're photon torpedoes, which later went to quantum torpedoes, which were way cooler.
Right.
That was in the
makes so
Enterprise
much
E. It does make sense. Quantum.
Hey,
you know what? We're not going to get into it. That's
all
fine.
I know is if we did not have Star Trek, we would
Yep.
never have saved the whales.
That's true. For Star Trek 4 Voyage Home.
It was so bad.
It was so
We have to save the whales.
My favorite.
They
Oh
went
my
back
God.
to Earth because they ran out of story ideas.
Yeah, you had to.
And it was cheaper to film it.
Well, they took a. They took a. Was it from Superman where he flew around the sun?
Yeah.
So like change time. So they did. They
Yeah.
kind of took that idea from, and
Right.
they also
Like I
found.
said,
they also
they ran
stole
out of
the.
ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if they ran out of ideas. They were just
yeah.
reusing a really good idea.
Yeah. And Captain Kirk was old. And
older, yeah.
Yeah. And pudgier.
And they did it all in a Klingon bird of prey.
Right, because that made total sense too.
Well, it does because the episode or the movie previous, they took over the Klingon captain's ship when after he killed his son.
And that first Star Wars movie was the first Star Trek movie was so gripping with V'ger. Oh, the bald chick going to V'ger. Oh,
okay, a couple things. All of the Star Wars fans who thought Dean had his back, he couldn't tell the difference between the two. Right there, just rewind 10 seconds and listen to him.
Nice attempt, by the way.
Two. Hold on.
You're getting mad at me. This is great.
Two.
Yes.
The motion picture was by far the worst Star Trek movie of all time. Without question, I will never deny that. Everybody, and can I just say, everybody always says The Wrath of Khan is the best Star Trek movie. It is not. It is a good one. For me, First Contact is the best Star Trek movie, followed by The Undiscovered Country. Then it is Wrath of Khan. Then it is Voyage Home. Then it is 3 and 5, which, whatever. And then
all I know is based on this conversation, I wish I had one of those warm things to put in your ear. It's the Dino and Joe Show.